Hey guys, we're back here with Outdoor Extreme with the OX Files, where the truth is out in the field. So we just got done talking with Gatormaille, Damian Fowler, amazing creation that has saved my neck many, many days. This beard does nothing to save your neck. It is a rubberized and anodized rings, chain linked, all linked together to be able to protect your neck, protect your head. The ball wall, I'll leave that for your imagination, as well as the battle boobies for our ladies, protection players. This is an amazing product. I would highly recommend you guys check it out. If you have never had that opportunity to see it, please come talk to us at the fields, at any of our Outdoor Extreme fields. I guarantee you there is someone who has one of these products here. But now we're moving into another section that I absolutely love. I started this adventure in Magfed Paintball about 5 years ago. Little bit of confusion sometimes regarding to what is Magfed Paintball, how does it work, what's the difference between running a hopper versus running a mag. And kind of take you a little walk back. Where it started here were a Splat Masters, which was I believe it was a type of polymer plastic marker. And it was being used predominantly originally for marking cattle and trees for logging and stuff. And then it just continued to progress to the game that we have today that I'm sure that you've seen on ESPN. However, there was a class of players that still really enjoyed the Magfed element, to the roots of what paintball was and where it came from. And that's really where we're going to touch base a little bit today in regards to Magfed Paintball. Limited rounds is the first and foremost of this. Some of you guys have maybe seen different pump style markers that every time you have like a hopper or a stick feed and you pump it, you lock it forward, you fire it, and you get one shot out. Versus the semi-auto versions of using hoppers and stuff like that. It became a different element. And when we got into this element of it, it's where it was no longer about rate of fire, but placement of shots. And that really is such a key point to this. In hoppers, when you're running with hoppers, which is the top little container that sits at the top of your marker, and it feeds the paint into the breech, and every time you fire, one ball comes out, or if you have an electronic marker, then rapid fire coming through there. So the other options, a couple of variations in it, but what we're talking about is magazine fed. So similar to what you'd see with real steel concept, except instead of real steel, we're shooting a food grade product projectile, a paintball, in the magazine. Sometimes. We'll get into first strikes in just a little bit, into our spicy...
First strikes.
Yeah, first strikes. Those things, little spicy paintballs. We'll get into those in just a bit.
Love me some cheater rounds.
I love those things, man. It is a totally different element. We'll start here from the recreational side. So, Magfed, instead of having a lot of weight sitting on top of your marker, and then you having your pod pack that holds roughly 120 in each one of the guppies or pods or tubes that hold extra paint, roughly sitting on your back. So you got the weight that's sitting on top of your marker, plus the weight that's sitting on your back. That's a lot. It's a lot of weight, and it's for guys that are the heavy gunners, if you will. These are the guys that are putting down rounds down range. They're still amazing shots, but they're there for volume, right? They're trying to control a certain area with rate of fire, and that being able to shut that down is an amazing thing. And it's definitely an element in the game for sure. The Magfed side of things is a little bit different. So sometimes guys will be running... they'll have a plate carrier or a chest rig where it just has just your magazine sit here. You're still kind of bare chest, or you have a full plate carrier that the mags sit up a little bit higher. Typically, those are the two options that you'll see being run within Magfed. regardless whether it's a play carrier or if it's a chest rig. You have your magazines that are roughly anywhere between 7 to 20 paintballs that are already preloaded inside your magazines. You can carry any amount that you wish. It's up to you how big your chest rig or your plate carrier is, how many mags you can carry with you. Sometimes you got guys put them in their pockets just trying to get the job done. And when we get into these kind of games, or this element of the gameplay, it's on placement of shots, right? You only have a limited amount that's sitting in the magazine. Instead of it coming from the top like you'd have from the hopper, it's being loaded from the breech into a mag well, into the breech of the gun coming from underneath. So you've seen they even have like Wolf Paintball's got a die box mag. That's essentially a hopper, but it's underneath. Right, we call them boppers, bottom hoppers. Well, at least I do. I'll call it what it is. It's a bottom hopper.
It's a bottom hopper.
It is what it is. So from the magazine side, you'll see roughly about 20 mags, like you'll see with the Planet Eclipse markers. About 12 rounds, I think, within the TMC. 7 rounds when you get to the FSC, the First Strike Compact, or you get to the Tip-X, which will have anywhere between 7 to 12 rounds, pending your magazine. My wife, in particular, will run her Tip-X, and that will be a 12-rounders that she runs when she's running that. So in these limited ammo games, you're limited, just like in any game of paintball you're playing, whether it's recreational, whether it's scenario, that's what you got. You're limited to those rounds that you have with you. And that kind of pushes you in a different element. When you have a lot of the weight of the pods and the hopper and everything, all that extra weight on your marker, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. You're a little bit slower making those moves into your props and your bunkers and being able to fight your way out of there, right? However, when you're running Magfed, this was the difference that I seen. I played with hopper all my life. And then about 5 years ago, Planet Eclipse came out with a marker called the EMF 100. I absolutely love this marker. We've showcased him. I don't think we've showcased this particular marker. We did the 200, but we didn't.
You showed it briefly when we were talking about the
briefly, yeah. Before YouTube was like, "Hey, stop that."
Yeah,
they don't like paintball. So with the EMF 200, I got that one. I went with my buddies, Sean and Frank from Nightmare Inc. Excuse me, they're now in Palm Bay at Palm Bay Paintball. I had them custom Cerakote my EMF to a Boba Fett style. It had 12 different coats of paint on it. They tricked this thing out amazingly, and it is the most reliable marker that I've seen on there. It is the 2025 version of the Tipmans. It is just so consistent. It is just an amazing marker. You can beat these things to death, and they just keep on working. Myself, as well as Mr. Gator, run these markers.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of the EMF?
The 100?
Yeah.
Oh, I love them. The first one I got, I won in a raffle.
Oh.
Yeah, for I think it was $63. I put into the raffle and I ended up winning it. And initially, I was just going to give it to Tyler.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're going to give it to your kid.
I was going to give it to my kid.
Right.
I'm like,
oh,
this
$63 on the gun.
This is just a space gun with the rail on the front.
Yeah.
There's no difference. Till I took it out to the field and actually shot it.
Started playing
with round ball. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'll order a rifled barrel for it. So I ordered a rifled barrel.
Rifled barrel is where it has threading inside of there. It's got grooves that are cut inside of it to be able to catch the projectiles. Because Mr. Gator and I run, it's called First Strike rounds. They're a photodegradable plastic round. It's a little intense. It's only used with specific meetups or big games. Make sure you check in with the event producers before you guys bring your First Strike rounds to those events. But it has been an amazing product that us getting into it, instead of having all that extra weight on top of you, now I have minimized my weight. Granted, I'm down to roughly, I'll carry out with one in the mag well, I've roughly got 120 rounds, give or take, that I go out for a push, for me to go and make the moves and to gain objectives and play, I'll run about 120 rounds on me.
Most I carry is I'll carry 8 mags and one in the gun.
Yeah.
If I'm running my sniper, I wear two. I carry the little 10 rounders, and I carry 20 rounders for MEK.
Yeah. When MEK comes running at you,
Mag
you got to
dump.
put it on him.
Mag dump.
Man.
I don't care if they are first strikes. Mag dump.
It is what it is, boys. You asked for it. And in these settings, I found myself, I am the worst paintball player on the face of this earth. I am a terrible shot. But one thing that I do have an advantage over some others is that I'm very quick. I'm like a mongoose. If you ever read the book or watched the movie Ricky Tikki Tavi, I am the mongoose. I am sticking and... But that's my advantage. And I felt at a disadvantage with all the weight of all the pods. I even went down to running only 2 pods on me and just my hopper when I was playing. And then I found Magfed Paintball. And I found myself way more agile. I was able to get tighter into my props. I was able to make moves a lot quicker. And it was just... my movements was just amplified. And then as over time, I became, more acclimated to limiting my rounds. Me putting someone into their bunker to get them to hide, right? I'm only using 1 or 2 shots to put them into their bunker so that they'll hide. This way I'm able to make a move and they won't expect me to be, a couple feet over. And that, to me, just changed my whole outlook on all of Magfed Paintball. Before I go any further, make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do that, guys. This is giving you an opportunity to see some of our funny videos that we add into this, our little clips, as well as our sponsors that get into it. We add a lot more into our intermission. Just want you guys to be able to get the full experience of what we're being able to provide you guys with OX Files. I heard about Magfed Paintball from these group of heathen monsters called Magfed Florida. And Army of Darkness, yes, AOD. When AOD and Magfed Florida came and talked to us about them wanting to host a Magfed game, I'm thinking in my head at this time, Magfed, that's cute. Pew pew, it's like Nerf, but with with paintball markers, right? And I said, okay, let's see. I would love to run your guys' private event. What do you guys need from us? They said, we run everything ourselves. We have our own separate set of rules. We have everyone calls their shots. The whole group, when we do our Magfed Florida meetups, is based on honor, integrity, and ferocity. These guys aren't saying, hey, surrender. Surrender rule doesn't exist, okay? These guys are meant, we're here to play, and I'm going to see the whites of your eyes when I'm coming up over that prop to put it on you.
Wayne.
But they started bringing in these new rounds that were called first strike rounds. And these first strike rounds are a plastic photodegradable projectile that in the tip tip of it breaks the paint. It has paint inside of there, but it has a rifled fin on the back of it. And any of you guys who have seen football, you get the concept of a spiral. Any of those you guys who are involved in real steel, you get the concept, right? But it sends it on a spiral, and the accuracy of these things, I could not believe. I was blown away about this, right? I'm a terrible shot. However, my accuracy was improved just based on this one projectile. Now I'm not worrying about this little dives and drops on these round ball. Using these first strike rounds was a totally different animal. And I got to watch these guys. And what just really made me swell up is that in these games, whether it's airsoft, paintball, integrity, right? If the better man or woman shot you, you got hit, you own that shot. The better one got you that time. Go respawn.
Any hit counts.
and with Magfed Florida only games that we get involved with, you guys will see us post them up online. You'll see them post them up on our Facebook. These Magfed Florida meetups, all hits count. So if that round hit you, ricocheted off you, bounced and hit your buddy, and then bounced and hit that other kid that was playing too, well, all three of you guys are now eliminated. Doesn't happen, but you get the concept. And that to me brought a whole nother element into this. Sometimes these first strike rounds will bounce off of you if you're got a jacket on, or some kind of fluffy padding, or some part of your kit, right? Sometimes they'll hit you and bounce off. Now in recreational, in scenario, and in tournament paintball, you're still alive. You're still an active player. However, in Magfed Florida rules, you're eliminated. Just because, as well as these rounds, sometimes they bounce, and those are expensive rounds. You're roughly looking at about, for a bag of 150 rounds of first strike rounds, you're at about $65.
$65, $70.
$65, $70 for 150 rounds, right? So when we're playing our meetups, every shot, own it, right? They got you. Cool, take your hit, take a walk on back. And after a couple of years of reffing these games, I started seeing all these guys running these different game markers, such as Milsig, T15s, Tipmans. And I started seeing a lot of these guys having issues and problems with them, but they love that factor that their marker may malfunction or the magazine may malfunction. And that was another element within the game that they were playing, that, okay, everyone has these kind of unreliable markers sometimes. So then you have to kind of on the fly in the game, do a field fix, figure out what happened, why did it jam, what went on, field strip it, fix it, get it back together, fresh mag back in, and you're back to the game again.
And the T15 being a 1-to-1 or an AR-15, remember that had the upper and the lower.
Yep.
Same thing with the 468 from MCS.
Yep.
Uppers and lowers, just like real steel.
Yep. And it had all these elements to where you had a lot of guys that were trying to use markers that reflected their at-home stuff that they had for real deal situations, right? And then we started seeing more and more people kind of getting involved with it, because this company called Planet Eclipse came out and made this new marker called the EMF 100, which we talked about briefly. And then all of a sudden, everyone's markers worked. And so the game kind of changed. But the element within still of the Magfed Florida meetups was still the same. Honor, integrity, and ferocity, and all hits count. Own your shot. Otherwise, you're getting a mag dump on you. Call your shots. It was a very, very easy process. And I absolutely loved getting involved with it, because that, to me, within honor and integrity is really all we have. I'm based on, for me personally, if I say I handshake you and I tell you I've got you, this is what I'm going to do for you, that's what I'm going to do. All I have is my honor and integrity. I ain't got much more outside of that. And that's what I loved about these individuals that played. And after talking with Rob Zeno, Chris Scott, Doug Logan, man, dang, I miss that guy. Falto, man, what an epic guy, dude. All of these leaders within it felt that Magfed needed to stay as Magfed. It didn't need to get mixed into any part of the game. However, just like everything that does happen in this world, there started to become a merge within the new elements of this. What was a niche part of paintball off to the side of these guys just playing with their weird, almost real steel looking markers and all of their... Yeah, it looked like they wanted to be airsofters, but it was totally not. Then it moved to another element, to where it moved into open class paintball. And when we got to open class paintballs, we'll use Super Game, for example, or our local Jurassic events that we do. It moved into another element. First strike rounds out of a Magfed marker has more distance it'll clear than what a round ball would clear. So they're running limited ammo, but yeah, it's actually quite astounding on the distance that a first strike round can go versus a round ball. However, once you start really stretching that distance out, that's when you start finding the round will bounce off more. And in scenario paintball, that's what you find. Again, if it bounces off you, you're still alive. You can still continue to play. It has to hit and break on you in scenario recreationally play and tournament as well.
Jurassic 24, I wasted probably $4 on a guy's head because it kept bouncing.
Just bouncing right off his noodle.
He didn't enjoy it.
He eventually put his head down and stopped coming out that spot.
One of them finally did.
Yep, and that's it. Right, so at the expenditure of ammunition and money, you have to place your shot. If you're going out at a further distance, you need to be aiming for the marker. You need to aim for their hopper, their tank, their head, their knuckles, somewhere that you know, or their pod pack, or their plate carrier, or their chest rig. You need to aim for areas where you know it's going to hit, it's going to break, and that shot, now that player's out, right? And when it moved into this round element, it changed the game. Now you are actively, for generals end of things, for these big scenario events, you're trying to recruit and pull teams that you know are Magfed specific players. They may not be necessarily in the front line. They could be in the front line. It depends on where you dispatch your troops as a general. We can get into scenario paintball at another time. But you have these elements now where you don't just have everyone's a heavy gunner. Now you have sniper rounds. And now these elements here are being put into place. You have specific missions that are sniper missions to take out a specific target, a specific player, maybe it's an objective at a base or something like that. It could be a bell that they need to hit or something. So these guys have another element and role within this that gives them that immersion into the game. And one of the things that we can get to, who can play Magfed paintball? Anyone. Anyone can play. You have affordable elements of it, like, for example, the Tipman TMC or the Stormer Elite, that are a couple of entry-level markers that you can get into. Roughly about 200 to 300 is what you're getting into those. And that's a Magfed as well as a hopper. It's a multi-tool marker. And then you can start moving forward into the EMF 200, the TMC, or not the TMC, excuse me, the FS...
T15.
T15, thank you. So many letters and numbers here. The T15 is an incredible real steel look-alike marker that you can customize to your own fit on how you want. You want a PDW up close, nice and tight, you can do it. You want a long one, you got the long gun you can run. They have the SAR that literally looks like a Barrett. It just the Magfed paintball is some of the most rad elements within this game. They even have a double barrel shoddy that MCS makes and First Strike makes too. It isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it works. You can get involved into the Tipex. You want to run pistols. There's a team called the Assassins Alliance, which is a international team that they go and play scenario events and big game events, and they only run pistols. So you've got what you've got, and that's what you brought. Oh, I did the L. I'm still learning this damn camera. So getting into these different elements, you can go, just like in anything in paintball or in airsoft, you can swim as deep as you want to. If you love paintball and you're want to shake it up, you want to try to stretch that bag of 500 rounds or 400 rounds. You're trying to really stretch that. Magfed paintball. It practices accuracy, not volume. And I think that's one of the key points on this. You're not putting down hundreds of rounds. You're putting down about a dozen of rounds in your engagements. And that saves you on money. that changes the element of the game for you specifically. Our buddy Christopher Camp, I love Camp when he comes out here. Camp runs, he runs only Magfed, and for the longest time, for years, he's only run Tipman's. Tipman's, he's had what was his models he's had?
He's had a Tip-X. I don't think he ever owned a T15.
No, he never owned any of that.
Or even a TMC. I don't think he owned a TMC.
Right,
either.
but he had more of the older model Magfeds.
I want to say he had one of those conversion kits for the Tip-X that made it it was the CMP-18.
Yeah. Where it kind of gave him a little bit of a PDW.
But he also had a die-dam.
Oh, he had a dam at one point.
When I remember far enough back, he had a die-dam at one point.
The Die Dam is a company called Die Paintball. Die Dam got the Ferrari of paintball when it comes down to it. It is a multi-tool marker that can run everything from first strikes, Magfed, hopper. You can get launchers attached to it. It is a high-end marker for sure, but with a high-end price and a high-end maintenance. You need to take care of your Ferrari every time you go out and take her for a drive. You need to do the same thing when you're running the Die Dam.
If not, just like a Ferrari, you're
going to have problems. You're going to have problems. But anyone can get involved from it at a very reasonable and affordable market price point to get into it. Definitely go to your local shops if you're at any of our Outdoor Extreme locations, whether you're in Pennsylvania at Hatfield, Lingelstown. You want to talk to our guys up at Angelica location at GRC Outdoor Extreme. Outdoor Extreme Maryland, is Super Game taking place this weekend in Maryland. You can go, and there's plenty of vendors that will be out there. You can check that out. You can absolutely come down to Hudson, Outdoor Extreme Hudson over near Tampa, Florida. Or you can come on down home here to Orlando at Outdoor Extreme Battlefield, and we can showcase you something that fits your price point. What are you looking to get into for Magfed paintball? We'll point you the right direction. A lot of these different markers you can also customize. Some of them you can't. Most of them you can to fit your playing style. Have another guy, we just had another guy last weekend pick up the EMF 200, which is Planet Eclipse's newest marker that they put out. Christopher Camp finally moved away from the Tipman end of things. He got tired of tinkering on his marker. He's at this point that he is ready just for his markers to work. And his EMF 200, we went and did a complete breakdown on how to maintenance it and take care of it. And so we did a video before regarding that, and he is very happy with his purchase. He comes out and plays recreational, and he can keep up with all of the hopper players and all of the rate of fire guys, and he stays within the game, man. He loves it. I highly recommend, if you've never tried Magfed paintball, talk to some of your local field referees, some of your local managers, some of your local guys that are out there. These guys, we have a lot of tools, and if you want to play it, we can show you. We can give you the marker. Please take it and run with it. You can't kill these things. You can beat them to death. You're never going to hurt them.
When you show up to a Magfed meetup, someone has an extra marker.
Someone does.
Somebody has an extra marker that you can use. That's usually the case. I don't. For years, it's been that way since I've been playing.
Yep.
Oh, you can't. Marker's not working. I
got one for you, guaranteed. And that's I recommend.
It's a great community.
The Magfed Florida community has been one of the best things I've ever gotten involved with, and I am so glad and thankful to Magfed Florida with Doug Logan, John Falto, Chris Camp as well being involved, Chris Scott, and Rob Zeno. Thank you guys for testing us and getting us involved within your games, because I now am hooked on Magfed paintball. And if you've never had the chance, please come talk to me. Come talk to any of these guys, and we'll point you in the right direction. Look up everywhere. There are Magfed-only meetups that are happening all over the world. We just seen so many videos that are coming up on my Facebook now of Magfed meetups that are taking place in Mexico. They're taking place in Canada. They're taking place in all over the United States, over in Europe. They just had hosted Euro Super Big Game that they host there. It is a week-long game, and it's a week-long of Magfed scenario war games paintball. it's limitless. It's no longer a niche within the game. It's a major element within the game of paintball, and I recommend you guys get out and play some Magfed paintball. I'm hooked. Gator's hooked. He won't pick up a hopper. I'll use any tool at my disposal.
I wouldn't say I won't pick up a hopper, but I prefer a Magfed, and I haven't picked up a hopper except to go, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Then get it out of my hands. Ugh, I can't believe I touched that. It's a great element, and it's another fun game, man. But this is going to wrap it up for us, guys. This is Dezi, been with OX Files, where the truth is out in the field. Thank you, Mr. Gator, for hosting us here again. Can't wait to see you guys on the next live video, and we'll see you guys out in the field.
Peace.